To open today's episode, I'm going to tell you a story that actually makes me feel quite vulnerable, if I'm honest, because I worry that it might discredit me in some way. I don't know. But what I've come to realize is it's a very human experience. Just before Christmas, I was encouraged by friends and colleagues and people I work with that really want to see me do well in the world to apply for a massive festival here in the UK. There's a very inspirational lady called Fern Cotton, and she has a festival called the Happy Place Festival. And people encouraged me and said, hey, listen, specifically my coach, Sharon, she said to me, I think you'd be brilliant on Happy Place Festival. Now, this is something that is a dream gig. And I thought, yeah, okay, I'll try, but probably not this year. And I do believe that one day I'll be on the Happy Place Festival. That was definitely a belief of mine. So I applied for it. And I put forward the one presentation from Fear to Focus that really resonates the most with people, that they really love. There's always tears and laughter and really interesting conversations whenever I present it at festivals, organizations, events, anywhere. So I applied for it and left it at that. Anyway, not long ago, I got an email and I couldn't believe it. I'd been accepted. I've been accepted as one of the talkers, as one of the people delivering a workshop at the Happy Place Festival in 2025. And I was like, whoa, this is mental. I had the most strangest reaction. I closed the email down and I just didn't think about it. Not because I wasn't proud, not because I didn't want to do it, not because of any real negative reason, just because this thought crept into my head. What are you going to do now? How are you going to do this? You're not good enough to do this. This is the stage that everybody goes on. That's a real big deal. They're massive. They're this, they're that. You can't do it. Imposter syndrome. It crept in. Anyway, it wasn't until a couple of weeks ago when Fern Cotton herself was putting up a poster on a brick wall and I saw my name on the poster. And that's when the imposter syndrome really kicked in. But that's when I remembered. And it's the irony and it's the funny thing about self-development. I was talking to a friend about it the other day and I was saying, see, self-development should be taken seriously, but life shouldn't. Because you see, life is ridiculous at times. Life just does the most unbelievable things that at the time you can't really laugh about, but later down the line you sit there with your friends saying, I can't believe that actually happened, that's ridiculous, right? And we just laugh. That's how life is. So we have imposter syndrome, and I have imposter syndrome or had imposter syndrome, and guess what? I talk to people about how to stop imposter syndrome. So here's the thing, it's not going anywhere. Imposter syndrome happens to us all, and today I'm going to talk about the realizations that I had a very long time ago about what imposter syndrome is, because for the last 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years, or over almost 20 years that I've been in the coaching industry, I've had many moments of imposter syndrome, many moments where there's a part of me that says I can't do it, or there's a part of me that has this gut-wrenching feeling that I don't belong, or that I'm a fraud, or that someone's going to find out, or whatever it is. That comes up quite a lot when people are doing meaningful things in the world. When you're doing something that's important to you, when you're stepping out of your comfort zone, when you're forging your path forward. Imposter syndrome is part of that. See, the core message after today that I really want you to take away, and I've confessed right now that I've had imposter syndrome very recently, but that doesn't mean it's the end of anything, and it doesn't mean that I'm not as good as I say I am, because I am. When I go out there, I help people. I know this. I get told this all the time. I get these beautiful messages from people that listen to this podcast. None of that matters though, because that imposter syndrome comes in and says, yeah, but that's all not real, right? They're going to find out, they're going to do all this. It's a strange phenomenon. So the core message here is that imposter syndrome isn't proof that you don't belong. It's often a sign that you're exactly where you need to be. You see, imposter syndrome is just fear. I mean, come on, man, you're scared. You're doing something different. You're stepping out of your comfort zone and you have this understandable and natural fear of it. But yet we want to self-diagnose ourselves with this very weighty term of imposter syndrome. How the hell is that going to help? And this is the thing. I don't call that moment that I had with the Happy Place accepting me, I don't call that imposter syndrome. I call that a very natural and understandable fear. It's going to be an incredible gig and I'm going to go in there and I'm going to deliver and it's going to be great and I'm going to have fun with those people in that room. So it's a very understandable fear. So the first thing we need to stop doing is calling it imposter syndrome and just recognizing that it's fear. Because there's a few things I'm going to go through today, and that is that imposter syndrome is actually a sign of success, that it's a signal of passion, not fear. It is a fear, but it's not a fear of something to be scared of. It's because it's important to you. But we'll get onto that in a minute. That it comes from respect for the people around you. That's important too. That plays into it. And that is a natural consequence of pushing your limits. So let's get into it. Let's start with the first one. It's a sign of success. See, here's the truth that nobody talks about, and that is you don't get imposter syndrome by accident. You don't feel like an imposter unless you're in a room you care about being in. You don't feel like a fraud or have that imposter syndrome feeling unless you're doing something that matters to you. So if you're feeling it, congratulations. And that's something I say to my clients all the time. They describe to me imposter syndrome, and I say, does that sound like imposter syndrome to you? And they say, yes, that's it. I've got imposter syndrome. And I say, congratulations, because that means you're playing in the bigger arena, that you're growing, that you are succeeding. It's the payoff from all of the hard work that you've been putting in over the days, weeks, months, years, that all this hard work that you've been putting in is starting to pay off. Imposter syndrome doesn't show up when you're standing still. It shows up when you're moving forward. That voice in your head is not saying that you're not good enough. It's actually saying, this is unfamiliar. This is new. This is growth. You're not being exposed. You're being expanded. And that's so important. You have to understand that. You have to understand that it's a sign of success. It is a sign of success. The next is you're passionate, not petrified. So I know I spoke about it being fear, but actually they say that when an athlete or a performer or someone who's doing something really, really important feels that sense of nerves, that actually the same hormones and reactions and responses and symptoms that you can relate to nerves can be the same ones as excitement. What if imposter syndrome isn't necessarily fear, but it's a passion disguised as doubt? Think about it. When you care deeply about something, you want to get it right. That pressure, that perfection, that questioning of, am I enough? That comes from how much it matters to you. It's not coming from that place of doubt or worry or that you can't do it. It's just so important. And there's this very natural, when something's important, you don't want to lose it. You don't want it to go wrong. It's a natural association that we make when we feel strongly about something, when something you care about deeply and that matters to you, and you have this passion that attaches to it. You don't worry about feeling like an imposter and things you don't care about. No one gets imposter syndrome folding the laundry or watching Netflix. People sit there going, am I watching Netflix right? Well, I've never done that. Maybe you have, I don't know. But you get it when you're standing on a stage. You get it when you're launching a business. You get it when you're delivering that presentation or you're applying for that job or promotion. That's when it comes in. So what you're feeling isn't necessarily fear. It's an emotional investment. It's not your enemy. It's your compass. And it's pointing you to the things that matter most. So you're passionate, not petrified. There's this wonderful story of two wolves. And it's this young boy says to his granddad, sometimes I just feel like I've got these two things fighting within me. And the granddad says, there are two wolves that live inside us. One is hate and envy and jealousy and anger and all of those really negative emotions. And the other one is joy, love, empathy, compassion, and all those very positive emotions. And very often they fight inside us. And the little boy says, well, which one wins? And the granddad says, the one that you feed. So fear and passion are always going to be brothers, sisters, whatever you want to call it. But if you want being petrified to be the thing that labels and underpins the experience that you're having, then feed that one. But if you want it to be about passion, if you want to realize and recognize that you are good at this and that you can talk about this forever and that you can do this forever and that you are actually a success, then feed the passion. Next is respect for your peers. Have you ever looked around a room and thought, who am I to be in here with these people? That isn't imposter syndrome, though. That's respect. Think about it. I had a client once, wanted to be a teacher. And they trained up to be a teacher and they did all their training and they went through all their things. And then one day they found themselves working in the school that they went to school in. And they walked into the staff room and there's all the teachers that taught them. And they couldn't believe it. There was one teacher in particular they absolutely loved. And they just couldn't believe it. They were like, surely I'm not as good as them. I'm not one with them. Now, that sounds like imposter syndrome, but it isn't. That's somebody who has so much respect for the people in the room that they cannot believe that they are in that room too. If you're feeling out of place in a room full of talented people, it doesn't mean that you don't belong. It means that you admire them, that you see their brilliance. And the reason you question yourself is because you hold them in high regard. And so you should. But here's the thing. Here's the powerful reframe. If they see you as one of them, then maybe it's time that you do the same. You don't have to dull your light to honor somebody else. Being around greatness should elevate you, not eliminate you. And sometimes imposter syndrome is simply your mind catching up with your reputation. And that's something that you have to remember. When you're in that room with people that you've admired for years and years and years, and suddenly you're on the same level as them, that's going to feel pretty insane within your body. And there's going to be a need to adjust. So when that adjustment period is going on, just ride it out. Just enjoy it. Just lean into it and let that become your new comfort zone. And then later on, we'll smash out of that too. Next is, it's a consequence of pushing your limits. And this is a big one. This is a big one because this is the final truth that I'm going to drop here today. Imposter syndrome is a growth side effect. If you're doing it right, if you're moving towards what you want to move towards, if you're pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, if you're working hard, you are going to have imposter syndrome. And that is why I congratulate my clients when they get it, because it's just another tick on a box to say, yep, we're doing it right. So the moment you stretch, the moment you leave your comfort zone, your inner critic will wake up and start asking you questions. Are we really doing this? What do you think you're doing? Who do you think you are? All of these things are going to start coming up. Interesting questions. Let's just listen. Let's not try and stop that voice. That voice isn't a stop sign. It's an indicator. It means you're on the edge. It means that you're leveling up, because no one ever felt imposter syndrome doing what they've always done. No one has ever felt imposter syndrome doing what they've always done. When you level up, your self-image has to catch up. You're not an imposter. You're just in the process of becoming who you've always meant to have been. It's like a muscle. If you think about it, when you go to the gym and you train and you work hard and you push yourself out of your comfort zone, and the next day you have that aching in the muscles, but you don't go, oh my gosh, I've utterly destroyed myself. I've damaged myself. That's insane. What am I going to do? Call the doctor, go to the hospital. You don't do that. In fact, what you do is you rub the muscles and you go, yeah, that means it's working. I worked hard yesterday. I'm moving towards my goal. I'm doing it right. You see, like that muscle soreness is a symptom of growth, not damage. So let's recap. Imposter syndrome is a sign of success. It means that you're in the arena. It means that you're striving towards winning and succeeding at what you've been working on for a really long time. It's driven by passion, not paralysis. It means that you care deeply about what you're doing, which means that you're in the right place, doing the right things at the right time. It is working. It's rooted in respect. You honor your peers. It's a byproduct of growth. And it means that you are evolving. You're changing and you're moving towards the person that you're supposed to be. The next time you hear that voice in your head, don't silence it. Don't label it as bad. Don't label it as something being wrong. Don't silence it. Decode it. Here's a challenge for you this week. I want you to step into one situation that just feels a little bit too big for you. And then I want you to show up anyway. And just see what happens. No matter what happens, we can take something from it that is useful. I can promise you that. I want you to understand that you're not an imposter. You're just someone who's still becoming the person that they're always meant to have been. And that's important because one way of looking at it could encourage you to give up. And here's the ultimate failure in life. It's getting to 90 years old, sitting back in your chair and wondering and wishing, what if? What if I'd tried? What if I'd given it a shot? What if I'd worked harder? What if I'd stuck at it? Because when you're 90 years old, there's nothing you can do about it. But whatever age you are right now, even though there's that strong pull to give up, even though there's that feeling that you're an imposter and it all feels like it's signaling for you to give up, don't. Honor that 90-year-old version of you, that one that sits back and going, this worked out, that didn't work out, but I had a hell of a good time trying. That's what's important. That's where I want to live, because the ultimate failure is regretting. It's sitting back and thinking, I wish I had tried. That's the ultimate failure. That's when the imposter syndrome wins. So thanks for listening today to the John and Lawrence podcast. And if this episode resonated with you, share it with someone who you think needs to hear it. I'd love you to do that. That would really help me out. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and you'll never miss a moment of growth. Until next time, be bold, be kind, but most of all, be you. Don't try and be anybody else. Thank you for listening to the John and Lawrence podcast, and I'll see you next week for another episode.